So I was taking a long walk the other day, and I was thinking about times in my life where I've regretted feeding into anger with another person, and we both start going at each other, and nothing productive happens from the conversation. And I thought about this book that I had read called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And I thought about like Eckhart talking about instances where he would just remain present with somebody as they were like in their emotions, because if their like pain body comes up, as they call it, or as he calls it, and your pain body comes up and everybody's just yelling at each other and they're getting all defensive because their past experiences are coming up or whatever, and their anger is coming out, emotions coming out, it's just two people yelling at each other. Nothing productive happens. Nobody's present in the moment. Nobody's being rational. Everybody's just yelling at each other, or both people are just yelling at each other. And so this instance in his, I think he mentions it in his book, where he's just sitting there as this lady is like talking to him, talking about her experience, and then if he ever didn't get present, she would kind of pick up on it and she would get even worse. But then if he just kind of like remained present and listened to her and understood, then she would eventually calm down. Here is how to respond when people are mad at you. Number one, come from an understanding place. Okay, so let's say that somebody confronts you, or somebody just gets really angry and they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm so mad at this, blah, blah. Maybe they're throwing insults at you. You have to come from an understanding place where you're understanding why they are angry, instead of just getting defensive and yelling back and focusing on like defending yourself. You have to understand why they're angry. Number two, not necessarily in this order, but these are just three things that you have to do if you want to have a productive discussion. Take ownership of anything that you can. So if you did something to cause that anger in that person, then maybe apologize for it. But I realize that sometimes when you apologize for something and somebody's really angry, sometimes they'll take advantage of that and they'll just be like, yeah, you better be sorry, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll come at you even harder because you let your guards down, right? But that leads into the third thing, which is don't take what they're saying personally. Because if somebody's angry, if they're in their anger, if that emotion's coming up, it's likely that what they're saying actually isn't personal, and they're just angry, so their anger is like coming up, trying to hurt you. But they can't actually hurt you if you don't take anything personally. If you just understand, like, okay, they're in their emotions, not from like a superior place, like, oh, they're in their emotions and I'm better than them. No, like, because I'm grounded. No, like actually coming from a compassionate, understanding place, because we've all been there. We've all been angry, right? We're all human. We have emotions. So that's the third thing. I'm a huge fan of accountability, because I know that my life is better when I take accountability. It just puts you in control of your life. So say like somebody's mad at me and I didn't really do much to make them angry. Like, let's say I just said something that bugged them earlier. I was kind of short with them. Like maybe I was short with a family member. Then they're like, oh, why are you being short with me, Troy? You gave me an attitude earlier. Blah, 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 blah. I do this for you. I do that for you. Blah, blah. They're going crazy. If I go, okay, you know what? I was a little short with you. I'm sorry. Or even just in my head, even if I don't apologize, I just acknowledge, you know what? I was short with them. That's why they're angry. Or that's part of why they're angry. Or even like, I don't know. I like taking accountability to like crazy places. Like, let's say, I don't know what your situation is watching this, but let's say that you have to deal with a family member because you live with them. Let's say you're not even moved out yet. You have to live with a family member who's angry all the time. And, like, it's not your fault that they're always angry at you, right? But if you just say, like, you know what? It's my fault that I haven't moved out yet. It's my fault that it's my fault that I was, like, born here. It's my fault that I chose to be here. I spend a lot of time in this house. I could get out more. Like, anything that you can find where you're holding yourself accountable and making it the reason for why you have to deal with this person getting mad at you, it just puts you in control. Okay, so a family member was mad at me one time, and I remember coming home, and it was literally, I was like short with him, and I was kind of angry that morning, and I gave him some attitude. So I left, came home, and basically, like, how you doing? Yeah, so basically he had like confronted me and said like, yo, you can't talk to me like that, it's disrespectful. He had been brewing about this like all day, and was like getting in my face and everything. And I remember just like taking a step back, taking a deep breath, and just like understanding him, where he was coming from, looking at like the anger in his eyes, and instead of getting angry myself, just kind of observing it. And the anger kind of dissolved for him, and he actually felt bad afterwards. He felt bad later that day and was like making excuses like, yeah, I had kind of a bad morning too. And yeah, I will say though, that's not always the answer. I was listening to a podcast by Alex Hermosi. I don't know if you know him, but he was talking about like sales and entrepreneurship and stuff. And he worked for this clothing store, and he remembers in this clothing store, a woman came back and she was like, hey, this jacket has a hole in it. And she was like really angry. She was like livid. She was going crazy. And then the manager came out. She's like asking for the manager. The manager comes out and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You know what? This needs to be fixed right away. And he was more angry than her. And then that calmed her down. She was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, we need to not charge you for anything. We need to get this to the back and fix it right away. And she's just like, yeah, okay. And so they fixed it and then came back, and she was a happy customer. So in that moment, the whole point with that story is that apparently with an issue, there's only like one person that could be more angry than everybody else about a certain issue in the room. And if you take over as that person who's more angry about the issue, like not coming at the customer in that situation, but instead getting on her side and being like, oh, I'm even more angry and upset about this than you are. It's like he took over as the angry person in the room, and then he solved the problem. So it wasn't complaining anymore. He solved the problem. So yeah, it's just a bonus thing. You know, on this channel, I talk a lot about overcoming social anxiety, being more confident in social situations. And the more that you can get yourself into a lot of those social situations, whether that's like a confrontation or anything else, just meeting a new person, the more that you can get yourself into those situations, no matter how inexperienced you are, or no matter like how you react in those situations, the more that you go into those situations with an open mind and just put yourself in those situations, learn to navigate them, and learn from them afterwards, the better that you'll be in each coming similar situation the next time. Like, you just get life experience putting yourself in new social situations. That's the only way to get better and more confident in social situations. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in this video. And I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, one of the recent ones. I do coaching for like helping people overcome shyness and social anxiety. If that's something you're interested in, I have an email under business inquiries in the description of this video, so you can reach out to me there. Or if you just have a question, I would like to answer a question in a video. That would be pretty cool. So that's something you're interested in, that's there. Otherwise, peace.